Welcome back, and here's another daily LeetCode problem. So today it's called dot product of two sparse vectors, and it's a popular question from Facebook actually. And so what you're given here is just two different arrays, and we want to compute basically their product of their two sparse vectors. And so these are actually what are called vectors or sparse vectors, and all that really means is it's simply just an array where it mostly contains 0 values. So that's all that you have to know here. It's not anything more complicated than that. And so what you want to do is you want to calculate their product. And so all this really means is that, okay, for every index, let's just multiply the value at the other index and just add them up. And so we're going to do basically 1 times 0 here, right? So we compare these two and we do plus, and then 0 times 3 here, so 0 times 3, plus, and then 0 times 0, and so forth. We just add them all up and return the result. Now, in order to do this, the reason why this is a medium level question and not an easy level problem is they want you to store these like more efficiently. All right, and so they kind of lead you in that direction. And so that's kind of what makes it at medium level, is that it kind of throws you off and you have to think about how we can store this using this information that they're actually sparse vectors. And so what you should think of is that, okay, because they're mostly 0 values, and when we're calculating these the product, whenever we encounter a multiplication against 0, like 1 times 0 or even 0 times 0, we know that this doesn't affect the result at all because we're just adding 0. And so anything with a 0 in it, we don't really have to store that information because it's redundant and we won't really use it. It doesn't affect the result. And so the way this can help us is that by not storing any 0 values, we're effectively just reducing the amount of information that we have to store. Okay, and so the way we can do this is we can use a hash map where we'll have a key value pair like you typically do. And so all that we're going to have is at the particular index, like index 0, we're going to map out the value stored there. But say for this one at index 1 here, we're not going to store the value like 0 at this location. That isn't useful to us, so we're not going to store anything with the value of 0, but we will say store at index 3, we had the value 2, and at index 4, we had the value 3. All right, so this is all the information that we're going to store for this vector, so we're not going to store these zeros. All right, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the hard part of this problem. And so we're going to go ahead and implement it. And we'll also implement how we're going to use that data structure. Oh, I don't want to show you this just yet. How do we calculate the dot product using that data structure? All right, so what we're going to do is we'll define the hash map here. And it's initially empty, and so we have to define the data structure in our constructor, and the dot product is just simply we're actually going to solve the problem. And so from here we can say, okay, how do we populate this data structure that I just talked about? Well, we'll just iterate through for every number in this list that's provided to us, and we're going to enumerate it because we care about the particular index that we're at. And we're going to say, okay, if this number is not 0, then we'll include it in this hash map. And so we're going to say, okay, at this particular index or this key, we're going to store this value here. Okay, and so to calculate the dot product, we're initially going to want to return some result here. And so we're going to iterate through for every index and for every value in this vector that's given to us. So vec dot, and we want to access its hash map. Dot items to get its key and value here. And we're just going to say, okay, if this particular index is in our own hash map, then we know both of them are not zeros at that particular index. So we do actually want to compute that particular dot product at that index. And so we just want to essentially here grab the value at this index and just add the dot product of these two values. So it'll be this particular value multiplied against the value stored in our own hash map at that particular index. All right, so let's go ahead and try running that. Oh, looks like we have an error. Let's go ahead and see what that is. If I in that hash map dot items. So if I is in, so we don't want to actually access that particular index there. There we go. And success. So yeah, that's essentially the Facebook question. So I hope it helped a little bit. And it basically just runs in O of n time complexity, and we're basically storing it in O of n, but we're assuming that, well, it's going to be sparse, so it's not exactly O of n. Maybe it's like O of n divided by 2, but whatever. It would be the average time that's kind of benefiting from here, not really the, I guess, worst time complexity. All right, so yeah, hope that helped a little bit, and good luck with the rest of your algorithms. Thanks for watching.